Perhaps you could bring us up to speed. I'm seeing here Dagoretti North, Bahati, Mathare, Runyenjes, Starehe. So Mathare, how many so far? Kajiado West, how many so far? How many are left? Wararaka. Dennis, you notice a lot of Nairobi now. Turkana yes. North. Yesterday we did have the certificates awarded to those who've secured the county seats. Loima, Githunguri, Lagdera. So Leila, how many are left? All right, there appears to be an issue with the sound there, but yes. we'll get it resolved. I'm also seeing South Mugirango and Samburu East here. She'll bring us up to speed on now the final tallies from how many constituencies and how many we still have to go.
They've been doing batches of 15 to around 20. So looking at the numbers, we're going to be quite hopeful that by close of business today, maybe we'll be now getting the final tallies. I think we have Leila now. Leila, if you can hear us, how many more are left? Because we earlier saw, before we joined the broadcast, they were doing those announcements. So how many are left? That, I think, is the number that most people are waiting for so that we can have an idea how soon we'll clear this up.
Good morning, Dennis and Olive. I think we are now past the 240 mark, and just keeping you up to speed with the numbers that were relayed in the graveyard shift. Kiharu in Murang'a County, Kaloleni, Manyata in Meru, Butula, Isiolo North, Mandera South, Tana River in Garsen constituency, Kilgoris, Kuria West in Migori, Kandui, Sigor West, Pokot, Dadaab in Garissa County, Awendo, Kabete, Nyaribari, Masaba in Kisii. Some of these numbers coming in really early hours of the morning, about 3 or 4 p.m. Likoni constituency in Mombasa County, Makadara here in Nairobi, Darbach in Wajir, Kilifi South, Bondo in Siaya, Taita Taveta, Migori, Awendo in Migori again. Oh yes, now I've gotten my footing. Mvita in Mombasa County, Rabai, Wajir West, Rangwe constituency, Kuria East, Kitutu, Chache South, Mwingi Central, Wajir West. Those are some of those that were just read out a few minutes ago. Baringo North in Baringo, Tarbo constituency, Samburu East, South Mugirango, Lagdera, Githunguri in Kiambu County, Loima, Turkana North, Ruaraka. Much of Nairobi constituencies now registering their numbers. Kajiado West in Kajiado County, Starehe, another big figure in Nairobi County, Runyenjes, Mathare, Bahati in Nakuru County, Dagoretti North, and again Likoni. Seems like they have been reading us some of these constituencies twice, but this is a good thing because now you can verify if there were any errors in the original statements. So in my basic analysis, about 40 or so to go, and about 240 to 245 already here. Just a few left. If my mathematics is not as accurate as possible, then that's why we have Dan Mwangi and his team, who are the masters of the mathematics and the statisticians, if I've got that word correctly, in terms of just finding out where we are at in terms of the numbers. But at the moment, it's a bit quiet. People just waking up and looking for their morning coffee. Many sleeping here and not wanting to be away from this hall because they want to keep abreast with those numbers from the IEBC. This time around, they quickly and very fast churning out all those numbers. As at midnight, the verification process IEBC was announcing was done and dusted for the 290 physical constituencies, as well as the one constituency that they are calling the diaspora vote. So after this, we are just waiting for another verification, one new form, Form 34C, which will be giving us the final tally in terms of how much each of those presidential candidates garnered in the 14.167 or thereabout million votes that were cast in this election, and how many will be valid, how many were rejected, and exactly how many in terms of the total breakdown of who got what and whether or not they have attained the 50+1 mark. Will we be going for a runoff? We will be all knowing this, and if this will be the one and only election that will be done and dusted as we move on to the next phase of this transitional period where Uhuru Kenyatta is exiting the stage as the fourth president, and no matter how you look at it, there will be a new president, President number 5 for the Republic of Kenya. And just before I let you go, I can confirm that Dennis is a man of his word, and the M-Pesa message, Olive, came through in the wee hours of this morning. So yeah, my morning coffee is fixed for the moment.
You've clarified that.
I'm glad to hear that, Leila.
I needed that validation at least. So you got the message late. I think it's your system error. This was sent yesterday. You got it today. But nonetheless,
I think we need to talk to Safaricom about that.
All right. So Leila, just a quick one. Yesterday, there was a relative calm compared to the night of drama. Getting into this morning, it's been very, very calm. Looking at the review of the whole process, just to speed up everything, I think the big question many Kenyans want to know, and I want to know, and I think Olive also wants to know, is when are we likely to get this done?
Oh, come on, Dennis. You keep putting Leila on the spot.
I mean, looking at the pattern of how they're doing the announcements, you're able to project. I'm looking at Forms 34A on the portal. We only have 28 left, so they're 99.94% done. You look at Forms 34B, we are looking at the numbers. We only have 5 forms left in the portal, which is a very, very good sign. So the physical verification, Leila, if you can just give us a guesstimate of when you think we should be done with this whole verification process.
Well, if I did on a crystal ball, then maybe I would be giving you finer details. But Wafula Chebukati and his team are not people that you can really analyze and speculate and say in this time or within a few hours or within minutes. This will be a process that is done and dusted. They've been able to take their time, and they've been quite notorious at that, insisting that everything needs to be as should be within the precincts of the law. They do not want to leave any stone unturned. No numbers should be where they are not supposed to be. He wants to avoid a scenario like what was experienced in 2017, where the country was bungled back into a fresh election after 60 days. So whether it will be in the next 30 minutes, in the next hour, it is all up to him and his team. And like I was briefing Ben and Winnie earlier in the morning, communication from the Commission has been quite strenuous and wanting for some of us who are journalists, not much information coming out of Uchaguzi main center. And when they do, they are very short and sometimes sweet and precise, but sometimes many Kenyans need much more detail, like those questions that you're asking. How soon will we be able to see this Form 34C, which is just one out of the graduation of documentation comes from 46,000 plus to 291 to one Form 34C, and then there will be that certificate which they are calling 34D. When that will be done, he still has the rest of this day and the entire day tomorrow until midnight. So it is at his own discretion that he will be ensuring that everything is up to speed and all the numbers add up into the best possible numbers possible, and he will be making that announcement. We have seen, like in many other instances, communication via social media that are not verified, many saying 11 a.m., others saying 3 p.m. He himself announcing that he will not make a declaration in the darkness. So we are hoping that before sunset he will be announcing who has won what and who has garnered how much, and whether or not he will be making the final declaration of the fifth president-elect of the Republic of Kenya, Dennis.
Well, Leila, the family of the missing IEBC official is still very, very troubled. They're so devastated as police intensify the investigations. I'm looking at the Daily Nation today, and they've done a story on the search on the last people that he spoke to right before, you know, he disappeared. Anything coming from IEBC, from the commissioners, anything you've heard with regards to this investigation so far?
It's interesting that you asked that question, Dennis, because it is only that communication by the IEBC 2 nights ago when they were declaring that this official disappeared, in what circumstances that he disappeared, where he was last seen, but nothing more other than he is not able to be found from the commission. They not even announcing how far the investigations have come or how much detail they have given the family or indeed the nation. This is not just any other individual. This was a person who was in charge of an election in a constituency, one who was expected to join 289 of his colleagues here to bring the Form 34As and Bs physically. With the commission staying mum about the issue, then maybe it creates a lot of concern around the family on whether or not so much progress has been done. Maybe at a personal level they've been able to communicate with the family. That has not been discussed in the public arena as was announced initially here at the podium of his disappearances. And those are some of the concerns by journalists as well, that not much information is coming out of Wafula Chebukati and his team. And if they do make such communication, they haven't been in a position to take questions or make other significant announcements other than what has been going on the floor of this Uchaguzi Center, as well as making announcements. Yesterday, the entire day, we only saw Wafula Chebukati once, and this was when he was bringing down the former president of Sierra Leone, President Koroma, and his team of observers from the COMESA team, and also a joint effort by the AU, and it was just him taking him through this process and how far it had gone. Later in the evening, when Meg Whitman was here, the US ambassador, for the second time, probably him and his team coming over just to show her how far the progress has come. So I cannot tell you there's any more information by the IEBC or any statements that they have sent out to journalists within this precincts or outside. Maybe they are hoping that journalists will now follow up on that communication just to find out how far, or maybe we can speculate and they are hoping to get a detailed communication from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, which ideally now are leading investigations into looking for the whereabouts of the gentleman who has been announced as have disappeared.
Well, Leila, I think the last question I'll ask you is just the security arrangement covering the last election, 2017, at the Bomas of Kenya, and you've done a good job. we sort of at the tail end, started seeing a lot of movements, people coming in. There was the police reinforcement coming in. There were all these checks and vetting going on. Have seen any indication of anything that is, unusual, or any additions to the security that is at the moment at the Bomas, of course, in anticipation of the results announcement?
So ever since day one, there were several units of the Kenya Police Service that were manning this vicinity. Only the numbers have increased right from the main gate of this facility. Both GSU Red Berets and the boys in blue, the Kenya Police Service, are manning the gate. They have sniffer dogs at the area where once you arrive with your vehicle, you disembark and the dogs do a search of your vehicle. Even once entering here, once in a while, they will do what they are calling bomb searches in various vicinities. We experienced it in the media center in the wee hours of the morning. They would ask everyone to leave, and the dogs would just come in and sniff around for any eventualities. I haven't seen them in the Tarling Center though, but here we have several units of the Kenya Police Service, the boys in blue, normally known as the Kenya Police Service, the General Service Police Officers. We also have a team of special service police officers who are female from the Kenya Administration Police Service, what you call the SWAT team, that was unveiled a few years ago by CS Matiang'i. They are here, but instead of wielding their guns, they are having batons. But never look at them as weak or inferior. They can do serious damage even with their own hands. In the midst of the female officers, we have the Red Berets, the special unit of the General Service, Kenya Police Service Unit. They are also here manning. 2 nights ago, when there was a bit of fracas here, they brought in the team that specializes in dealing with armed response in terms of if there are any anti-route police officers in their full gear. They haven't been seen inside yet because there hasn't been any form of aggression within the precincts of this facility. And yesterday, I was also able to spot the special blue uniform of what is now the anti-terror police unit. So just by looking at their uniforms, you can tell that the Kenya Police is fully represented here. I am also aware, I can't speculate, but there must be several civilian dressed officers here, as well as there is a private security firm that is also manning the entrance and various areas within this large precincts. And this team is being led by the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of the Kenya Administration Police Service, Gabo, who has not left the precincts of this facility since voting and tallying began on Tuesday. So those are just the uniformed officers at the main entrance of this hall. It is purely the Red Berets who are standing by to go as you go through the process of being checked. And then once you get here, you must have a special tag. And let me just show you how it looks like. You must have, for the media, you must have your badge for work and your MCK press card. And for some of us, we have 2 tiers. This one was for accessing the polling stations, but this is a special one. If you don't have it, then you're not allowed into this vicinity. And as well as the chip for securing that you open the door, you must have your national identification card. So many documentations, so many requirements and restrictions to enter this facility. I'm sure many politicians and their supporters will be trying to head to Bomas of Kenya for that announcement, and many may not be able to access because maybe in terms of numbers and also accessibility will be restricted to only those who are critically important to be here, and majority of them could be just the presidential candidates themselves, their families, some of the critical members of their parties or their coalitions, their legal teams and their chief agents, and a few of their supporting agents as well. The observer teams will also be allowed in, the ambassadorial teams will also be allowed in, and as well as the IEBC commissioners and a few of their officers. So that's basically how the security situation is, and it begins all the way from the main entrance. Once you drive in at the roundabout at the Galleria area, then you start feeling the presence of security detail around this road coming into the Bomas of Kenya, and with each drive and each step you will see armed security officers, and then you stop just a few meters before the main gate for the dogs to do their stuff before you are allowed in. And if you do not have this badge, then even with your vehicle, you will not be allowed to park inside this vicinity.
In other words, Leila, hata lunch nikileta tunaonana kwa gate.
Itakuwa hard, Deno, itakuwa hard, my friend.
Dennis, we've had this conversation.
Yes.
Wewe tumo M-Pesa, Leila tajisort huko ndani.
This is my conversation with Leila.
And I'm also feeling parched.
You're also feeling
Yeah, I'm
it,
also feeling parched.
Okay. We'll do something. Leila, always a pleasure hearing from you, your depth of what's happening around you. Always great seeing you and hearing from you. We'll now link up with you again in the next update. We hope there will be several of them during the day. Of course, we are at that very tail end. We keep saying this is Leila, the moment of truth.
Leila, do say hi to Joy Mdivo. I saw her make her way and have a seat just behind you. So do extend my regards to her.
And nimetuma salamu.
Can I do that just right now, Joy? Hi, you're live on NTV, and